Hi guys, this is Lynn Hart with Invest St. Louis at Real Broker. I am here today and happen to be in a restaurant, so I'm in St. Louis, and if you know me, I get around a lot, and so I just had lunch, and I'm going to fire off a couple of videos that recently been useful information for my clients. Today, the topic, or right now, the topic is going to be what does a contract process look like in St. Louis? So let's say that you been working with us, you've been looking for properties, and now you found one that you want to buy. Well, what are we going to do? How's that going to work? That's the question. So, the high level viewpoint is we will have, once you've decided, we will take a look at is that property at all competitive? Is somebody else going to be making an offer on this or not? Look at the ARV, or not the ARV, but the comps for the property to make sure, like, where are we on price? What do we need? We're going to give you advice on what price point and what type of offer you need to make. And then we are going to start the contracting process. So we will first send you a bunch of disclosures that are required for us, like a broker disclosure, lead-based paint, if it exists, a seller disclosure, if it exists, wire fraud disclosure, right? So there's a few of those, and we will send you a buyer's agency agreement to sign that we are going to be working together in that capacity. And then, so we'll send that off for you to sign while we're writing the other contract. The actual contract itself is typically, if we are multifamily occupied or not, we're on a special sale contract. So we will use a special sale contract, and that will have a lot of contingencies in it for you. So as you go through, we're going to decide your purchase price. We're going to usually have about 1% of the purchase price as your earnest money. And then we are going to want to know where you want to have it, who you want to be your title company. If you don't have one, we have one that we use frequently. And so we will suggest that you can use that one if you like. You will have 3 business days to submit your earnest money. And that is, think of it, if you're not familiar, it's like a down payment, a little bit like a security deposit. That is basically your indicator that you are going to act in good faith against the contract, and assuming that you close, it'll go down, on your property. If you were to break the contract in a way that was not planned for in the contract, then you could stand to lose that earnest money, right? So the next thing we're going to talk about is your financing. We'll already know how you're financing, but we will put together a financing contingency if you're using a loan of any sort, or if you're paying cash, then we'll just, we don't have a financing contingency. We will also put together an inspection rider, which is basically, if you want it, gives you 10 days to have a paid inspection to inspect the property, and then either leave the contract, ask for something from the seller, or continue with the contract, right? Usually these days, sales are happening as is, and those inspections are usually for buyer's knowledge only. And so to some degree, we see maybe a little negotiation on price if there was a big issue found in the inspection, but we're not having many sellers who are willing to do repairs themselves. So just something to know. The other kind of parts of there is an insurance contingency and title contingency, and a kind of a lot of things that just say, if anything comes up, then you have the right to negotiate, right? If you have a financing contingency, you'll also have an appraisal rider, and that gives you the right to negotiate if the property does not appraise. There are a lot of people who are waiving this right now, or willing to pay a certain amount if there's a gap in the appraisal, but that is a competitive tactic. So that is maybe something that you might use, or it just depends on you, right? And so I think that's, just the basics of it. Oh, I'm sorry. We'll also have a rental property rider, assuming that you're buying occupied rental property. And so that what that does is, if you haven't seen all of the documents, this requires the seller to provide you various documents within a few days of accepting your contract, and then it gives you a few days to review those documents and make sure that you want to continue with the process. Typically, those documents are leases, occupancy permits, a rental property, a rental history for like the last 12 months, and maybe a rental property verification sheet, but you may have already received that by the time you get to making an offer. So the other thing that it does, so it gives you the right to negotiate on if after seeing those things, and it also gives you the right to see the units that you haven't seen. So let's say you saw one of 4 units, then you'll be agreed. They'll agree to give you access to the rest of the units within so many days or with it by a certain date. And now I think I shared everything about the very basics of the contracting process. So once you've got an accepted contract, then what you can expect is we will have asked you beforehand if you have any travel or anything coming up in the next 30 to 45 days that would keep you from being able to either close with a mobile notary or close in St. Louis, or otherwise going to get in our timeline. We're going to need to know that because you will have some tasks and things that you have to do, and this whole contract comes on a timeline, and the timeline becomes very important. If you miss certain days, you are costing yourself certain opportunities. For example, if you take longer than 10 days to respond on your inspection notice, then which is tied to your inspection contingency, if at the end of your inspection contingency window you have to provide a written notification of what you intend to do. So we will encourage you to call your inspector the minute you go under contract, get that scheduled as early as possible, have that done, and then get those results back so that we can process your inspection contingency very, very quickly. If you end up for some reason needing to get estimates on something, you have a little extra time, but also, you don't want to run over a day. If you miss that day and you haven't provided an inspection notification, then you've lost that the window is gone, it's waived. It doesn't need a piece of paper to say that it's over. Your days are over. So you'll have that paper in, right? As long as we have any say about it. So there are various things like that. Your earnest money, a loan commitment, so something from your loan officer at the end saying that they've fully got you underwritten and they are ready to go to closing within a week. So there are various tasks that are your responsibility that we will shepherd you across, maybe be very annoying across that timeline to make sure that you get there. But so you'll need to keep in mind your time over that month or so to make sure that you're able to meet those commitments. Um, and, we'll just be there with you through that timeline. That's it in a nutshell. So if you have questions about that contracting process, or if I missed anything, tell me what it is so that I can add on to this video or do another video or just answer you in the comments or whatever happens to work for you. Thanks, and everybody have a great day.